My name is R. Crosby Lyles, and this is News from the Can. Crosswalk, people. Crosswalk. God damn, man. Fucking learn how to fucking use a crosswalk. Okay. You know, I don't like giving Elon Musk too much shit. But here's the thing. When you have a business that's that big, you move out of the personal realm. You know, getting caught up in petty stuff. It's unwise. So that's the thing with it's a puzzle. Elon Musk is a puzzle. He's an enigma. And here's the thing about someone who is an enigma, who is enigmatic. Enigmatic people are typically full of shit. They're charlatans typically. You know, they're grifters a lot of times. It's like, well, he does all this other stuff, and he's a sage at all this other stuff, but at this one thing, he's a complete idiot. You know? He's not wise. He's super smart, but he's not wise. And that's like, you know, that's typical. Actually, that's pretty typical human behavior. I have a cousin that's the guy graduated from Georgia Tech, and he retired from the Air Force. He was almost a full bird colonel, you know, and he's only about a year older than me. So he was doing pretty good, kicking ass. And his wife ended up leaving him for another man or some shit like that, you know. And but it's Trump supporter, you know, and you know. I don't know if he's a born-again Christian, nevertheless, but he's basically a Jesus Nazi, I think. And how can you be a Jesus person and support Donald Trump? That's like, it's a puzzle. It's an enigma, right? Well, I mean, the guy's super smart. He's smart enough to do electronic warfare in the 80s, you know, riding around in a B-52, a modified B-52 to do electronic warfare and bomb the shit out of people. You know what I mean? It's like high-level stuff. So he's smart enough to do all that kind of stuff. And so what it is that there are people who are able to do the fine needlework but aren't really big picture people. And that's like Elon Musk. You think, well, how can Elon Musk not be a big picture guy? He's all big picture. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, there's some really practical shit that he just doesn't grok. You know, like when you're worth $140 billion, you know what I'm saying? And you've got like a, so Tesla is as big as the entire energy sector. You know, his business is as big as an entire sector. And I'm like, well, at that point, at what point when you have that much wealth, when do you break out of the bondage of self? Because, you know, when you've got a business like that affects that many people and employs that many people, you basically should be a fiduciary, a personal fiduciary, watching out for the, you know, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't act like he's a fiduciary. He acts like he's a dude. Every tweet that he does out the side of his ass sitting on the toilet, I mean, that's why I had some Tesla stock last year. I had some Tesla stock, and it's like, you don't know what the guy's going to do next. He did a fucking tweet, and the fucking stock price it went in the toilet. It's like, dude, man, you know, for one thing, I think it's against the law. Why? Because every corporation is typically required by law to return maximum profits to their shareholders. So if you're the CEO and you're making tweets out the side of your ass that costs everybody money, isn't that against the law? I'm just saying. But, it's like, I don't want to give the guy, it's like, I don't want to bring down the person, Elon Musk, that much. Unless he turns into a fucking, another, and unless the cult of Elon turns into, like when it's Planet Elon and everybody's worshiping the fucking effigy of, you know what I'm saying, of when everybody's worshiping Elon Musk. Donald Trump's a big fucking cult leader. And it's all about them. It's all about, the bondage of self. Which is kind of scary. But, by the same token, he's the most approachable, apparently, nicest of the super billionaires. You know what I'm saying? Then he probably has his trust violated a whole bunch of times because people don't know what the fuck to do with him. You know what I mean? It's an opening to, like, I don't know, make some money and get something out of him, and you know what I mean? And after he gets burned a bunch of times, then he becomes jaded. But the problem with being an Elon Musk is that you end up getting surrounded. It's the Elvis syndrome. You end up surrounding yourself with a bunch of people, a bunch of yes men. And that's it. That's the end right there. Next thing you know, it's like you're like Michael Jackson, fucking reforming your face and fucking little boys and all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like fucking gets funky. There's nobody there. There's no one there to sort of like, there's no containment. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You think you're strong enough to handle it. And my thing, my word to Elon Musk is, you can actually break your fucking brain. If you're using performance enhancers and modifiers and shit like that, and having a good time on the side and whatever, you can break your fucking brain if you stay up enough days. And I know people who have done it. There's a woman that I know right now that graduated from Northwestern University up in Massachusetts. I think it's Northwestern. Bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. She's making $100,000 a year writing manuals for programs and shit like that. Making a great living. And she got into this thing where she was taking Adderall. And so she was staying up for days at a time, playing video games, taking Adderall, and doing all kinds of other shit, taking ecstasy. Broke her fucking brain. Now, I don't even know if she's alive or dead, but she was on the street. Locked up talking to herself. Broke her fucking brain. So, that's my word. It's like, you have to learn how to delegate responsibility. You can't run that whole shit yourself. That's in the Bible, basically. Moses is out in the desert and he's like, fuck, man, I'm just wearing me out. I can't judge all these cases because you're basically a de facto judge. I can't judge all these cases. And so the Lord comes down and says, why don't you, like, delegate some responsibility to other people? And so that's what they did, and that's what you got to do. And yet you have to replace person and your personhood. You can't do anything on a personal level. One thing you got to do, you can't say I and me. You have to say we. It's just, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. Knock yourself out. You know what I mean? It's like personal power. It's astonishing what a human being can do with personal power. The whole entire Tesla empire is built basically, apparently, on personal power. On his ability to push that rock up the fucking hill. But you know what? Human beings have physical limits. There's a physical limit. Father Time will reel your fucking ass in. You know what I'm saying? And it won't be pretty. And you might roll that big ass rock up the hill and end up creating a monster. Having a cult is all well and good, but the cult takes on a mind of its own. It's like Frankenstein's monster. That's the the story of Frankenstein's monster. You build a monster, which is the cult, to do your nasty bidding for you, and the monster ends up turning on you and burning down the fucking village and you with it. That's the moral of that story. You can fuck with a cult. You can build a cult if you want to. You know? But that's the thing with Elon is that he's got a cult going. And so that's where they have a meeting. That's where he has a meeting of the minds with Trump. And the whole thing with Twitter. Why does he want to take over Twitter? Oh, freedom of speech, free speech, blah, blah, blah. No, his speech is not being curtailed in any way. You know what I mean? He wants Twitter so he can get orange hair back on there. Because he wants someone in the Oval Office that owes him a favor so he doesn't have to be troubled by any regulations. Period. When you look at how they are, when you look at their behavior, you look at Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they're like two peas in a pod. Totally. They are like two peas in a fucking pod. Deregulate. They don't like regulations, and they don't like labor laws. They don't like labor protections. Same as Bezos. Bezos is quiet. See, Bezos is pretty smart. He's quiet. And here's the thing about Bezos. Bezos is fucking just launching with ULA rockets something that looks like a Starlink thing. And I'm like, dude, I thought we were all on the same page with, I thought we were all on the same page with, trying to reduce space junk. Because you reach a point where you got so much space, so much junk in space that you can't make any launches without, incurring damage to your. You got so much shit in space that you basically can't leave. And then you got to figure out a way to get that junk out of space, which is something I've actually worked on before. So, there's a nifty thing we could do. And on a personal level, I mean, I find Elon Musk to be the most likable. The guy's approachable. He's pretty, and on a lot of ways, he's pretty humble and pretty cool. You know what I mean? But that petty stuff, it's a killer. And so what you replace that with is systems. You have to replace that's what big corporations, big businesses do. They replace. There's no personal thing. You're dealing with the machine. So Tesla, SpaceX, all that stuff, it needs to be, maybe that's part of the thing, but you gotta, sooner or later you gotta separate the two. And they have to become like self-contained machines on their own. And so the hiring and firing, it's all by algorithm. It's all by, it's system. You have a system to find the right people to do the job and blah, blah, blah. And do the evaluation to see if they're doing what they're supposed to do. You have to have a system. Nobody can, there are calculations that cannot be done by most human beings. There might be an odd human being here and there that can perform a 9x9, a cross product on a fucking 9x9 matrix or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There might be a mutant out there that can do that. A 9x9 K map. I think it's like impossible. I think beyond 4 you can't do a K map. But there might be somebody out there that can do that shit. Beyond that, though, you have a system. That's what you have a computer to do. To do a system, and then you step away. And you monitor, and you gotta have to monitor, what you're doing. And he must have some kind of, so his system must work pretty well because those businesses are thriving. But the other thing too is that, as far as Elon Musk is concerned, he ain't got a lot of heat in the beginning, I guess. They made it difficult for him in the beginning, but he had to get some support somewhere. And where he gets his support from, he's not really disruptive. You know, SpaceX and Tesla, in a way, SpaceX is probably more disruptive because they're doing it. You know, they're doing the shit cheaper than anybody else would have, because they kind of had a little racket there running for a while. You know what I mean? So he made space more affordable. But here's the thing with electric cars: there's nothing disruptive about an electric car. Why? Because you're trading one rate the earth fucking thing for another, right? Where does he get support from? He gets support from the coal mines. The largest lithium mine in the world is in Australia. The largest high-grade coal mine in the world is in Australia. All the copper and tin and nickel and all that other bullshit. So the Australians love him, which is interesting because that's where he built the first Tesla battery farm, which works. You know, this is why another reason why they love him. The energy companies love him because, gee whiz, those battery systems. I looked at that and I scoffed. I was like, really? Battery and the fucking shit works great. They're in demand. The battery systems are in demand because they kick ass. So that's the other thing too. Teslas are in demand because they kick ass. So there's a lot of that's pretty disruptive, really. In an electric car, you don't have to. There's a lot of stuff in an electric car you don't have to worry about. Whenever you got to trade out the battery, that's a little drama involved there, but you don't have to have your oil changed and all. So that's kind of disruptive. That's pretty disruptive. But by the same token, and the solar thing. Oh, you can power the universe with a fucking 100 square mile thing. The United States with 100 square miles of solar panels that his company makes. And look at the amount of CO2 that's in the environment right now. It's up in the stratosphere. That's making that many fucking solar panels is going to create an environmental catastrophe of its own. The cure it's like fucking, it's like chemotherapy. The cure will kill you quicker than the fucking problem. Seriously, that's what Planet of the Humans was all about, I guess. Because of how they make solar panels, how they derive the silicon. So, and this big giant band of CO2 that we got circling the Earth right now wasn't there several years ago. Where did it come from? When it, so during the middle of the pandemic, it went down. The CO2 level went down. So it is population. Oh fuck, I'm going the wrong way. It is population dependent. But the bottom line is that, these guys are running it's a fiduciary. Here, essentially, by law, you've got to return the most maximum amount of profits to your stockholders. Otherwise, you're breaking the law. So whenever you fart out a tweet out the side of your ass in the middle of the night for fun, that's totally, ill-conceived, it's unwise. So you're at a level now where, but then that's the thing. That's the thing that people see that's scary. It's terrifying. Is that you get to a point where you have so much power that you don't have to be wise. You can break all the eggs in the world to make one omelet. You know what I'm saying? You can wipe out the fucking chicken population of the earth to make one fucking omelet. And it's like, oops. One tweet. So that's who you are. That's how much power you have. And he's not wise enough to see that. So that's what you need to be praying for, dude. Some wisdom. You know? And like, at some point, okay, so this is a revolution. Is this a revolution or is it about you? If it's not about your personal wealth, then it's a revolution. The one thing about Elon Musk, so having said that, one thing about Elon Musk is Elon Musk will realize something and change course. We'll have a realization and go, okay, well, maybe this is not really the way to go because this, that, and the other thing. Okay, cool. Like he changed his mind. I think he's changed his mind about Starlink because of the space junk thing, which is bad. But you know, fucking, like I said, Amazon is launching this Starlink type of thing with ULA rockets, and I'm like, okay, somebody should give him shit about that. So, if Elon Musk is not getting a pass, then Bezos shouldn't get a pass either. You know, but they're like, oh, they're so powerful, and then it's like, no, fuck all you little peons. And now they're like, what it turns into is it turns into a space where the only thing you hear is stuff that is favorable to the dear leaders of the world. You know, the Wild West of the internet is going to be a fond memory. So, and I don't know how you guys think that's really going to end up. You know, I don't know how you think that's really going to end up going for you, because their businesses. Here's the Achilles heel of the Amazons. It's all computer stuff. I mean, that's the new thing. So the Achilles heel is what? CME, coronal mass ejection. Yeah. That's your Achilles heel right there. Electric cars. I don't know. Will they explode in a CME? I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I have to look at it. I have to pry into it. Nuclear war, because of the electromagnetic pulse, because their businesses are all based on, you know, it's all based on the network. If the network goes down, those guys are out of business. Totally. So a lot of people may be out of business. Maybe that's why they really want to have control of the federal government. The federal government. You know, look, we're all human beings here. They're human beings. Your money is derived from, all wealth is derived from labor, right? We're your pigs and cows. But that's where your money's coming from. So you got to take care of the chattel, just like cattle and pig farmers and chicken farmers have to take care of their chattel. You got to they got to be fed and maintained and happy and healthy right before you fucking kill them, right? Otherwise, you're not making as much. That's your best interest. But they don't want to do that. They want to cheap out on everything. They want you to survive on nothing and just totally fuck you. Nah, fuck you. Get to work in a pandemic, and you know, and that way of thinking killed 1 million Americans in the pandemic. And you're not going to be able to. I mean, there's already a demographic decline baked in. So they want to. It's like they want to take over and turn everything into the Matrix, where they can just cook up some more babies, you know, and make more chattel to make them money. Instead of, you know, producing an environment instead of taking care of them. You know, why don't you take care of your chattel? Wouldn't it be better for you if you took care of your chattel? You know, make an environment where it's, you know, where there's a promise and a hope. You know, that the environment's going to be okay, that we're not going to kill the planet and people will have more babies. You know, but you want to force it. You just want to be total iron fist control motherfuckers. Ask yourself, how's that really going to work out? Is it going to work out? Probably not. And if there's a CME, I don't know. You know, it's possible. Or a nuclear war. You know, you'd probably say to yourself, well, everybody's done dealing at that point anyway. Probably not. I mean, we could do a limited nuclear war. They'd like to tell you that nah, you really can't. And Vladimir Putin wants everybody to think that it's not doable, but it kind of is. I mean, really, nuclear war is totally fucking doable. And we could win it. We could win it. With not that much. You know, some tactical nukes. We could basically smoke Vladimir Putin at any time. And it might get pretty ugly. But it's not going to kill the world. But it will kill fucking Vladimir Putin, for sure. So, just better hope, you know. Anyway, that's all I got. My name is R. Crosby Lyles. Thanks for watching. You know, I'm not a hater, but I'm a realist. You have one person running everything. Sooner or later, they're going to have a bad day, and shit's going to get fucked up. Especially if they're habitually unwise. That's all I got. My name is R. Crosby Lyles. Thanks for watching. See you.